Dead International, World and Pacific News, Talohani. I'm Nicola Wright. Leading this bulletin in world news, a landslide at a jade mine has killed at least 90 people in northern Myanmar. In Pacific News with Alex Perrottet, a Vanuatu NGO says it's hoping to see up to 20 women in Parliament after next year's elections if the government approves its proposal for reserved seats for women. And in sport with Vinnie Wiley, the Fiji cricket coach says he's committed for the long haul after making a resignation U-turn. A landslide at a jade mine has killed at least 90 people in northern Myanmar. Burmese media reports the victims were buried when a vast heap of waste material, discarded by the mining companies, collapsed in Kachin State. The landslide in Pakant happened in the early hours of Sunday morning, and there are reports of dozens more missing. A huge rescue operation is underway, with the Myanmar Red Cross, the army, police and local community groups all at the scene trying to dig people out of the earth. The frontman of the band that was performing in the Paris concert hall, where gunmen massacred 89 people 10 days ago, has spoken publicly for the first time about his grief. Jesse Hughes of the American rock band Eagles of Death Metal has given an interview with the news channel Vice, saying he and his bandmates escaped from the hall through a backstage door. He says he thinks the reason why so many died is that many people did not want to leave their friends. Among the victims were the band's merchandise manager Nick Alexander and 3 colleagues from their record label. Argentines have voted in a runoff presidential election between the centre-right Mauricio Macri and his ruling party rival Daniel Scioli. It's the country's first ever second-round ballot. Mr. Macri had a comfortable lead in the opinion polls. The outgoing president, Cristina Fernandez, who was preceded in office by her late husband, Nestor Kirchner, is as loved by the poor for her generous welfare programs as she is reviled by others for her confrontational style and the stifling controls she put on the economy. China has defended its construction of infrastructure on disputed islands in the South China Sea. It said it did not intend to militarize the area and accused the United States of provocation by sending a Navy ship through the area last month. The comments by a Chinese vice foreign minister came on the sidelines of the annual ASEAN summit in Kuala Lumpur. China claims most of the South China Sea as its territory, but 4 Southeast Asian states also claim parts. On Wednesday, the US President Barack Obama called on China to stop land reclamation in the disputed waters. China has repeatedly said its dredging work is legal. The land reclamation, which began in late 2013, has turned submerged reefs into islands. That's the latest world news.
You're listening to RNZ International. This is Pacific News. Whakalofalahiatu. I'm Alex Perrottet. A Vanuatu NGO says it's hoping to see up to 20 women in Parliament after next year's elections if the government approves its proposal for reserved seats for women. The Coalition Fund for Gender Equity's Hilda Linney says they have put forward 2 proposals to government, one for the temporary special measures on reserved seats for women and the other for a gender equal list staggering male and female candidates on the voting order. Ms. Linney says Vanuatu used reserved seats for women in 2013 at the provincial level and it proved to be a huge success. She says so far the government has yet to respond to the proposals, but says she's hoping the response will be positive.
If it is going to be any multi-seat constituency from 2 upwards, our calculation is we could have from 19 to 20 women, while there would be 32 men. That's the proposal that had gone to the government.
Hilda Linney says her organisation is already carrying out workshops to prepare women to contest the polls in 2016. Fiji's opposition says the Speaker of Parliament's decision to overrule a demand for an apology from the Finance Minister last week was wrong. On Wednesday, Ratu Isoa Tikotha accused Ayers Said Kayum of corruption, claiming he had proof of it in documents he tabled on Friday. Ratu Isoa says Mr. Said Kayum then imitated his voice, made grunting noises and raised his arms in an ape-like gesture towards him, which he labelled a racist gesture to Itoke. Mr. Said Kayum says he was mimicking the voice and pose of the Star Wars character Darth Vader, accusing the opposition of twisting his comments to imply he made a racial slur. On Friday, Ratu Isoa raised a point of order demanding Mr. Said Kayum apologise for the remarks, but that was overruled by the Speaker, Jiko Loveni, who said he should have raised it at the time. But Ratu Isoa says Friday was the earliest possible time, and he believes the Finance Minister should still apologise.
It was quite insultive the way he does it, and like he is actually referring that we indigenous Fijians, Itoke people, that we are gorillas or monkeys, whatever he's trying to implicate.
Ratu Isoa Tikota. A new grassroots movement in American Samoa is hoping to collect 10,000 signatures in a bid to help save the local tuna industry. The move comes after the Star-Kissed cannery announced it was considering moving some production off-island due to rising costs. The movement's leader, Kathy Pilimai, is calling on President Barack Obama to help save the local canneries and says feedback to the petition has been positive.
The response has been tremendous. Okay, I have to say that it is just, it's been really, they all know we're at the precipice. If we don't do anything, this is not going to be good for all of us.
Mrs. Piliami says if the canneries leave, it will have a catastrophic domino effect on the economy. The Tongan Islands of Ha'apai are to name a new sports facility after the rugby star Jonah Lomu, who died last week. Former All Black Lomu, whose parents are Tongan, died in Auckland as a result of a cardiac arrest related to his long-running battle with kidney disease. The New Zealand-born Lomu was taken back to Ha'apai until he was 5 years old, and the local governor, Moale Finau, says villagers there have been sharing stories of the then toddler. Mr. Finau says the islands will pay respect to Jonah Lomu in a special way.
We just started to make a park for Ha'apai, and I've decided to name the park Jonah Lomu Park. So that is a magnificent move, I believe, is to name our new park Jonah Lomu Park, and we will put up a huge sign on the roadside with a photo of Jonah Lomu.
The Ha'apai governor, Moale Finau. People in the Cook Islands are being urged to conserve water as the country enters a prolonged dry season caused by El Niño. Infrastructure Cook Islands Waterworks manager Wilson Rani says authorities are already seeing a drop in water levels around Rarotonga, with water intake currently 50 to 20% below normal. He told the Cook Islands News this has decreased water pressure around the island, with the flow being as little as 5 litres per second in some areas. The director of the Cook Islands Meteorological Service, Arona Nari, says the country is not expected to have any significant rainfall until at least March, which will put extra pressure on water supplies. And that's the latest Pacific news, and here with sport is Vinnie Wiley.
Thank you, Alex. The Fiji cricket coach Shane Jurgensen says he is committed to serving out his contract after resigning and then changing his mind. The former Bangladesh coach was appointed in May last year to a 3-year term, but initially resigned last month before having a change of heart. The 39-year-old Australian says personal reasons played a part in his decision, being away from home for so long, and he also felt certain things needed to change in the organisation for him to be able to continue in the role. He says the recent departure of CEO Inoki Lasuma was a coincidence and did not influence his original decision or his eventual U-turn. He says after discussions with the Fiji Cricket Board, he has now been assured that there will be some changes in place and is keen to remain in the job. Meanwhile, Papua New Guinea cricket coach Dipak Patel says the next session is crucial to their chances of an outright victory against Afghanistan in the Intercontinental Cup. After dismissing their opponents for 144 on day one, the Barramundis were dismissed for 295 late in the first session of day 2, securing first innings points and a sizable 151-run lead. But Afghanistan fought back to be 284 for 3 at stumps at the halfway